Alrighty, hello. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Michael. This is the recording for Breakout 1. My regular expression, as you can see here, was so kindly generated for me by Dr. Spradling. Thank you, sir. Um, I decided to look at it uh, in three different parts as follows. Obviously, we have that initial one that pops out there at the very beginning. It's unaffected by this little star. This 1 and 10 here are affected by these stars here. And then lastly, it's got this little bit at the end for the 0, 1, 1, 1. This, I decided to break it up in just the four elements as follows. I thought that would be a lot easier to convert and make life easier for both the DFA and the NFA. So this first part here is pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, that mandatory first one puts us into a final state, because from that point on in our regular expression, we can receive nothing for this, and we can also receive nothing for this as they are starred. So yeah, that one actually gives us a success right off the bat. So we can move into Q1, which is a final state with the input of one. Pretty simple. But this next part here with this nested 1 and 10 here with the stars, what happens is we have another final state here that on the input of because we can get simply one and then nothing and then be done. We can get one and then a 10 and then a 10 and shoot, and then a 1 and then a 1 and then a 10. We can get any goofy kind of combination of these 1s and 10s because of this nested star here, which is pretty cool. And basically it just bounces back and forth between these Q1 and 2 states and terminates if we have nothing after that. If there's nothing after that, it terminates in a success. Because this one bounces it back here where we can nest in our ones here, or we can get an input of 10 and then we can get another 10 if we want, or if we just get another one, we can jump back. Pretty self-explanatory for that one. And then that final bit at the end, this Q3 state, which has to do with the 0, 1, 1 star at the end of our regular expression. Basically, if we get the input of that out of either Q1 or 2, at any point, because like I said, we can get just our input of 1 and be into a success state, and then we can get nothing from this just because it's starred. So the 110s, we could get an input of just 0, 1, 1 and or 0, 1, 1, 1, excuse me, and jump right over here into this Q3 final state, which is a success, and then we can get as many of those as we want. We can sit here and loop. And then obviously, if we get any other input, then 0, 1, 1, 1, it dumps it into a fail state, which is assumed because this is an NFA. This is my NFA here. Pretty laid out and simple. Not too difficult to understand in my honest opinion. What I kind of like to look at it was almost like perhaps a machine that picks up like three different kinds of objects, and puts them in a basket perhaps or something like that, but it can only pick up one big object, which is the 0, 1, 1, 1. So it can pick up like small and mediums at any rate, but then once it puts a big object in its cart, it has to be done. That's how I kind of like to look at it from an NFA perspective. But it's not going to activate unless it knows that there's something to go pick up. So once something, it can go pick it up. Even it just has to be something small. It's not going to make a trip out for something just big. There has to be something small out to go get it. And once it has that small thing, it can get small things, it can get medium things. And then once it is ready and gets a big thing, it picks it up and it's done. Now, converting this to a DFA, was a little bit of a challenge, just because it was hard to think about all the different fail states. But obviously we have that initial fail state, just simply because if we don't get a one, if there's not a small object to go get, it won't go get it. So any other input than that initial one, it's not going to activate, and we're going to go into a fail state of, I've labeled here Q1. The success state that it goes into, I've labeled here Q01. Yeah, which is it's the clear first step, just because of that, again, that initial one here in our regular expression. And then beyond that, I just kind of had to dive right in, taking account like this secondary part here of the NFA, kind of making it so it's the second phase, and then also the fail state associated with this aspect. So as you can see here, it's the first part right here. We have that initial fail state that I was talking about, but we have the success. So we move into that first state here in our NFA. That Q1 is closely associated with Q01, at least in my perception and how I was able to kind of convert this. And then from here we can get that input of one, right here if we want, or if we receive it. We get that input of one, it sends us over here to Q012, where again we can get any combination of the ones, or we can get an input of 10, which sends us here to this Q02 or Q12 state, where we can again receive any combination of tens. And if we receive a one, we can bounce back. And this is that kind of that second chunk that I referred to of the regular expression here. After that after we get that initial one, this is that second chunk here. And then this is our third chunk that I was referring to. And again, you can get to this particular Q only by getting the input of a 0, 1, 1, 1, but you can receive that from any point during this second chunk, during the repeated ones or the repeated tens, at any point during phases Q012 and Q12 and Q01, can you jump over into Q02. And then Q2 is the fail state in which I've associated for this this entirety of like the second phase of the DFA, which any other input, so any zero received here at this Q01, obviously, because from Q01, if we get an input of 10, we're good to go. If we get an input of 00 or 0111, we're good to go. Or 1, we're good to go. The only input that doesn't give us to a success state is Q2. So it jumps into a fail state with this input of 0, or excuse me, the input of 0 gets us to this state of Q2. And again, basically zeros for anywhere else on the second chunk here gets us to this fail state Q2. Yeah, that was basically how I was able to discern converting these down into a DFA. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I can try my best to answer. Thank you for tuning in.